Hi, everybody. Welcome to this product briefing on what is, I think, the biggest change we've seen in Microsoft Teams since it launched, the exciting change of what's happening with chat and channels. And to talk us through it and kind of talk about why it's happening and what the use cases are, we've got Noga, who's Senior Product Marketing Manager at Microsoft. So Noga, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background. I know you've been on the Teams team for a little while now.
Yeah, I've been on the Teams team for the past 5 years and been on Microsoft for 10 years now. And I would say it's been a real exciting journey with Teams. It's a real opportunity to work on a product that really impacts 300 million users. And so I love the fact that we work on a product that can really help boost and drive communication and collaboration worldwide.
Yeah, it's interesting. And with that, having a product with hundreds of millions of users, changing it is always really interesting. And this is quite a radical change to the user experience. So maybe we can start with, do you want to explain what the change is?
For sure. So we're rolling out a new chat and channels experience. There are a few key things that are changing with this experience. I would say one and central change is just unifying the chat and channels list. And so we're bringing chat and channels to one place. And so no more jumping between different apps. You can just get all your chat and channels in one place. I will say if people prefer, they can still have separated, but we are wanting to focus that and make it one centralized place. The other set is just around organization tools. And so this is where we're introducing custom sections, favorites as an opportunity for people to organize their environment. And lastly, more tools for triaging, with new views that really help people jump into their add mentions or unread and catch up across chat and channels.
Yeah, for me, this has been a really positive change in terms of my channel usage. So I'm on mobile a lot, and I must admit, even though obviously we're heavy Teams users, we focus on Teams, chat was more to hand, and therefore more commonly we'd end up having the conversation in chat. Whereas now, having my chat and my channels in one scroll essentially, or one app on the desktop, has really helped with, I'll go to the right place for that conversation.
Yeah, and I will say that has definitely been the thought behind it. And that has been a top customer ask over the past. And so this one is really addressing and giving people the tools to catch up quickly. And I will say on top of that, really customize. So also kind of streamline the information, which is what you described, but also giving people the tools to customize the environment to their own needs.
Makes sense. And is that the underlying motivation for this change, that like people tend to default to chat and it was a bit more of an extra step to go to Teams and channels?
So in parts, yes. Again, like this is a bigger change than just the chat and channels in one list. Like we do want to give this variety of tools, but I will say, yes, we believe in general that channels are super important because they bring lots of advantage. It's first, like if we think of what is a channel, it brings all the right people and files, resources, apps, they're all in one place. And it's great durable conversation, meaning they're easy to find later. And so even if I think about like often scenarios of people just leaving the team and then no one can find this information because that person left with that information, if you work from a channel, people can always go back and see the history. If you have new people onboarding, they can just scroll back and see all the context and have access to resources. And so this durability is really key. The other key important thing we've seen is just also around discovery. People that are member of the team can find the information and the manageability of that. So this owner of the channel can control who can access, what can they receive. So everything around manageable. And Lastly, if we think about the future and where we're heading, like we're entering the era of generative AI. And so if we work off channels and work in open collaboration, we can have the right information surface in the Gen AI tool. And so this is like a key component for getting Gen AI to reason over the important documents and information in the workplace.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we're not losing any of that capability or ability of teams and channels and control and access. It's just where we get to those channels is changing if we flip this switch. The Gen AI point is a really good point. And then you see this like particularly with people coming and going from companies or coming and going from projects, the ability to join a team and have all the relevant history. And then because you have permission to see that now, your co-pilot has permission to see that now, so you can access that data and summarize. Whereas in chat, it's typically going to be lost or a new chat started, or do you get history or do you not?
Yeah. And so we've heard the feedback of like, we just needed to be integrated to the critical workflow. And so, for example, I will say, if you start a new chat, like with a new experience, you can start a new chat or you can start a new channel post from the same place. And so these changes can really help streamline and making it easier to access and become part of these critical workflows.
Yeah, something that's been really useful for me is the global filters at what is the chat app now, to be able to see all my unread, regardless of if it's chat or channels as well. So I can triage my chat and my channels in the same way.
Absolutely. I will say that has been a top advantage for me as well. Something that I use, like I can click on unread and then I see everything. And so it's an easy way to catch up, and I can triage all my conversation, like using these filters.
So as we record, it's starting to roll out to general availability. There was a long period of preview as well. What have you heard in terms of feedback of adoption and people, how are companies approaching this change?
Yeah, it's definitely a big change, but I would say it had a very positive reaction. That's just the reality, because again, like as we talked, like this was a feature that was asked for a really long time. And so the ability to catch up in one place, this need for durability of information, the ability to triage messages and organize your environment are really important. Having said that, I will say, we have seen that sometimes if they're a user, that it takes them a few days to get used to it. So for some it's seamless, for some it takes a few days. And then, but at the end of this journey, it's like they appreciate the new experience, at least, if not more, as their current experience.
Yeah, it's interesting. Talking to customers that I work with, it's kind of ironic. Some of the best teams customers, as in they've really managed to culturally get channels and teams adopted, are some of the toughest ones for this change, because they've spent a lot of time getting their users to understand there are two places. And conversely, some of the ones that never really got the cultural change of channels are seeing a massive benefit now, because they're actually like, oh, well, there's a different way to do this that has topic-based channels as opposed to just lots and lots of chats.
Yeah, and I will say also change management is top of mind. And so we do, and I encourage everyone to check the Microsoft adoption site, see the demo that we have before. Like it can take a few days, but at the end, I would say just having everything in one place is a really big benefit that we see and hear about.
Nice. Is there anything, I know this has been a long design phase of what works best with folders and the filters. Is there anything you're thinking about moving forward in terms of this interface, or you're experimenting with?
Well, I will say there were changes that are coming, and I would say you'll see there's constant investment in making sure that we are giving our users the best experience, and also just enhancing channels to be this hub of collaboration, this centralized place. And so some changes we're going to see later on, as we called out, threaded conversation is something that's going to be coming. It's now getting tested with customers, and we are going to expand to broader availability in mid-2025. So that's a big change, and that's something that's going to really have an opportunity to enhance the way people work. So that's one. Another one that is rolling up soon is Loop Workspace as a tab in channel. And so we're going to start that rolling out with standard channels. And that's just going to be the team's canvas where they can brainstorm, co-create, write together, organize content together, all in real time. So we're really excited to see that one as well rolling out. And what you'll continue seeing, and I will say this is an investment that we've had also in the past months, and it's going to continue, is that we're looking into how we help users manage channels from beginning, from the creation to archival. And so we've rolled out features that help really streamline that experience, even if I think about just helping, for example, with hiding channels that are not using, archiving channels, renaming the general channels. All of them are addressing lots of feedback and customer feedback we've heard, and trying to streamline and simplifying the workflow surrounding channels.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for the threaded in chats, because that feels like something that there's a friction of I can do it here, but I can't do it there. So whenever I see the experience getting unified between chats and channels, I think that makes it easier for the end users.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a really big opportunity to help users double click on conversation, being able to really drill down and get the details while still getting the main workflow of the conversation going. So it's really going to help people have effective communications that also conversations that are easier to navigate and helping people find information. I would say that notion of oh my God, there is so much information, I'm overwhelmed. How do I find what I need? And how do we help in teams, how we help users with that is top of mind.
Awesome. And you mentioned it at the top of the session, but this is a rollout that's going to, I don't know, initially it was suggesting users try it out. I imagine it's going to flip to suggesting by default, but admins can control this if they particularly want to have it still in the classic app channels and Teams app mode.
So the controls are by the users. No need to reach out to IT. And I can show it later on in the demo that we have. You click on custom view on your side and just decide, do I want to do combined or separate? And as we're going through this process, there are going to be coach marks that are going to help the end user when they see this experience to really decide for themselves what's best for them.
Awesome. Well, Noga, thanks so much for taking us through kind of the behind the scenes of why this is happening and where the benefits are. As you say, for those that want to hold on, we're now going to jump into a demo session of how it actually works, but really appreciate the time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me today. And I'm looking forward to sharing the experience with you.
Hey everybody, we are diving into the biggest Microsoft Teams change I think we've seen, and that is the unification of chats and Teams and channels. I'm fortunate to have Noga, who's a Senior Product Marketing Manager on the Teams team, and she's going to take us through the change, what it is, what some of the benefits are. So thanks for the time, Noga.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to show you the new chat and channels experience. And this is what you see in here. You can see we have one app in here, which is the chat app, which is the combined Teams and chat apps. And it brings together all my chats as well as my channels into one list. So let's start taking a look into what we have here. The first thing we have here is the favorite section. And so the favorite section is for your top priority conversation. If you think about that, it's also, if you had previously pinned conversation, you're going to find them in favorites. Personally, I like to put in favorites conversation from my manager. So that will be Alex, and I can easily drag that and drop that and put it under favorites. And also topics that are time sensitive, urgent, that need my attention. That way they're always top of mind for me. So I'm putting them and dragging and dropping them into favorites. Next we have here are all my chats. So these are all my chats. I can go through them. And I also have the flexibility to organize them the way I want. And so I can sort through them. I can see unread only for easy catch up, or organize them by most recent. Below that is my teams and channels. And here I also have flexibility into customizing the view to the way I like working. And so I click here and I can choose to see teams and channels, which is channels nested under teams like you know it today, or I can choose to see channels only. And this just creates a list of all my channels. I will say personally, this is the way I like working because it brings all my channels in a compact view, making it easier for me to catch up.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm still on the teams and channels because I think of them like folders still. So that's it's nice to have the option.
Yeah. And then I'll share another personal favorite for organizing information, which is creating new sections. So I go in here and I know I actually have a project I'm working on called Mark 8. So I would want to bring all chat and channels conversation together to one place. So I'm always keeping track on this conversation, and all related conversations are in one place. And so I can easily drag and drop them. If I wanted, I can also change the locations of the different sections. So let's say Mark 8 is really top of mind for me. And in that case, I can just go and scroll that and drag it to be at the top versus at the bottom.
Nice. And you can mix in chat and channels in those sections as well, which I found really useful. So if you've got a combination of things going on, you can have those all in one section.
Absolutely. And I would say that has been personally for me a real game changer, that I no longer have to go between different apps or scrolling and looking for items. I know that when I go to this folder marked 8, I can easily find all the relevant conversation, all the information I need in one place.
Yeah. And then you've got the filters at the top now, haven't you? And the beauty now of it all being in one place is you can filter all your information.
Yes, absolutely. And so I would say these tools really help supercharge the way I triage. And so for me personally, if I've been away for a few hours or even on vacation for a couple of days, the easiest that I do to catch up, I start by clicking on my unreads. And then I can see, oh, here are all my conversations that I need to catch up on. If I needed to, I can further narrow down the search. So for example, I can say, I just want to see my chats, or I want to see meeting chats, or I want to see my channels. And another things I like about that is that these filters are persistent. So even as I work and I'm like, oh, I want to see what's happening with the product launch event, then you can see the filters still persist on the left side while I'm working and making progress.
That's awesome.
The next thing that I find super helpful in here is also the at mentions. And so if I wanted to make sure that I haven't, like nothing slipped and I didn't see and they didn't get my attentions, I can have here a view and go through one by one through all my conversation. And when I click on that, you can see I have the right pane opening up. And from here directly, I can reply to each conversation and also get all the context of the conversation leading up to it. So this is a super helpful tool when I just need to start replying and making sure that I'm attending to all the places that called me and needed my help with.
Yeah, that's really useful as well. Sort of like a pseudo inbox. If you've been mentioned here, you've been mentioned here, you've been mentioned here.
Yes, absolutely. And one more thing that I wanted to share with you here is just the search bar. And so let's say, for example, I want to see conversation around stores. I remember that was one conversation with a stakeholder. And so I can just I can just look it up here and the relevant conversations are going to pop up and I can choose them and catch up on the conversation from that. So search bar filter is also super helpful.
That's great. And this is rolling out now as the users are starting to get it. How do users control this experience if they want to have the new experience or the classic experience?
Yeah. So what you do, again, like, and I was, as I'm showing this, I will say it was super top of mind for us to give the user this flexibility. And you can see we are, one hand, we wanting to simplify, and on the other hand, we want to make sure that you customize and have the right tool for you. And so we're going to click on here and we're going to go to customize view. And in here, you can choose, it's as easy as that, combined or separate, and you can choose between the two. The other thing in here that you can choose between is, do you want to show message previews? Do you want to show timestamps? These are things that the user can just go and customize that for them.
That's great. I've been a real fan of this new experience. It's definitely upped my channel usage because it's all in the same place. It feels like it's easier to jump to the most appropriate channel, whereas before I was, essentially app switching to Teams. Now we're all in one view.
Yeah, and I don't know if you love working with keyboard shortcuts. We know we definitely have users that they like spending time with their keyboard shortcuts. It helps them work really quickly. And so we enhance some of the and introduce new keyboard shortcuts. So for example, I'm clicking on Control G right now. And what you can see in here is that not only I can jump into my most recent conversation. And not only I can jump into chats, I have here access to my channels as well from the same place. So really, when we say we want to bring channels to and chats to your critical workflow, this is one more example of that. Or if I click Control N for starting a new message, I can have here starting a new chat, but I can also start a post in a channel. So lots of ways in which we're simplifying and streamline the workflows, including chat and channels, and bringing them together.
That's great. And we recorded a longer conversation about kind of the motivations behind this. But for those that haven't listened to that, what are some of the things that are kind of you're thinking about and that are coming in future iterations of this experience?
Yes, so absolutely. This is, I will say, is just the beginning. We are constantly updating and investing in making channels be this hub for collaboration. And so few things that are coming is threaded conversations. So that's a big enhancement to help streamline the conversation. So that's one. We are also going to integrate workspace as a tab in chat. And so that's going to be your canvas, the place in which co-create, brainstorm, work together. And then lastly, we're constantly investing in simplifying the channels experience. And so we're looking into doing that all the way from creation to archiving. And so we're going to be constantly looking into ways in which we simplify and bringing this work streams and workflows together as much as we can.
Awesome, Noga. Well, thanks for taking us through that experience. And if you haven't seen it already in your tenant, it should be rolling out at the moment, so you'll probably see it soon. Make sure you get in front of that user adoption and business change conversation and show some of those capabilities we saw here, the filtering, the sorting, the having the sections. I think it's super powerful for users.
Yes, we're super excited to see that rolling out and giving the user these tools that they need.
Awesome. Well, Noga, thanks so much for jumping on. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.